Hello everyone, my name is Landon and welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite Haruki Murakami novels. Haruki Murakami is an Asian author that I started reading about maybe a year and a half ago, I believe. And ever since then I've fallen in love with his work. My favorite novel by him is my 4th favorite book of all time. And he really just has some amazing works of fiction. They are so weird, they're so beautifully written, and if you guys have never read Haruki Murakami before, I'll give you guys some good recommendations of where to start with this list, and just some of my comments on his work in general. So, we are going to be counting my top 5 favorite novels from him, and starting at number 5, we have 1Q84. This thing is huge. This thing rivals it in length. It's about almost 1,200 pages, 1,150 pages long. I've read this book twice, actually, because the first time I had to gather all the information I could on it, and then I had to read it again, going back with all the knowledge that I had before, sort of knowing what was going on, and then piece it all together again through my second reading. This book is just phenomenal. You have to read every single detail in this book. It is a very detail-heavy book. There's a lot of information in it. You can't really skip anything, because if you skip something, you're going to miss something entirely about the book. It is that detail-oriented, and Haruki Murakami does a great job of creating our 2 central characters. What were the names? I think it was Aomi and... I can't remember the other person's name. The other guy's name... I think it was Tango, I believe it was? Something along those lines. I think it was Aomi and Tango. The 2 characters are just great, and their journeys through the parallel dimension, or whatever they end up in, like, even I still, like, to this day am, like, questioning reality in this entire book. It's just incredible. I'm not going to give anything away other than parallel dimensions. That's, like, what the book is about. I'm not going to give away any, like, big character details or anything, but the characters are just phenomenal in this book. The writing, the setting, the plot, it's just great. And this is only number 5, so that's saying something. At the number 4 spot, we have Kafka on the Shore. Just like 1Q84, Haruki Murakami does a great job of giving us our 2 central characters, weaving them together, and just delivering a beautiful story. This story is about a kid named Kafka on the Shore, who's running away from his family and basically just living the life of a loner, of a drifter. And he meets so many people on the way, including the one main character, the other main character, who has a strange ability. I'm not going to say what the ability is, even though it gets revealed in like the first 100 pages. He's a very simple man. The other main character, he's a very, what's his name? Nakata. He's very simple-minded, but he has a very strange powers. He doesn't really know what's going on most of the time, but, like, he's much more deeper than the book initially, like, reveals him to be, and Haruki Murakami does a great job of studying these characters and the connection that they have with each other, and the bigger scheme of what this book is trying to get at. It's beautifully written, just like all of his books. Like, the setting, especially, he does a great job of giving us set design, basically. Especially with the next book on this list was set design. We're going to get to that. But yeah, Kafka on the Shore. At the number 3 spot, we have After Dark. This was the first ever Murakami book that I read, and it was a great place to start, for me, I believe. A few other great places to start are the next book on this list, or probably 1Q84, and even Kafka on the Shore. But this book, it is told in second person, I believe, second person point of view, which is really, really hard to pull off. I've never really seen anyone pull off second person point of view ever, really. What Murakami does with After Dark is he gives us basically set designs. Like, we're a camera focusing in on characters. Like, there's like one scene where we're literally like the lens of the camera zooms in on a character. I'm like, well, that's one of the lines. Like, we're looking through a camera lens at these characters. And it's all told in second person, and it's told during, like, the AM in Tokyo, I believe, and, like, it's just the journey of this one character throughout her night in Tokyo, and she just meets all of these people that impact her night in some way, and it's just so beautifully written. It's such a simple story. It's not very long. It's only like 250 pages, but the pages are very, very short. And if you guys can, I would definitely recommend reading this one because it is very quick. You probably would never read anything like it. And yeah, After Dark. At the number 2 spot is a book that I believe would probably be my number 1 recommendation for someone starting out with Haruki Murakami. And that's his first book, I believe, that he ever wrote, Norwegian Wood. Maybe it wasn't his first book he ever wrote, but it was the first one that got him popular. Norwegian Wood is the simple love story of a woman who has a terminal illness and a man who just falls in love with her. And the story that you go through with these characters, it's mostly told from, I think it's all told from the guy's perspective and him meeting the girl. But this entire story, it's just a tale of triumph. It's a tale of sadness. Like, this is one of the few books that has ever gotten me to cry. Like, the last 30 pages of the book, I was just like, oh my God. Like, this book, told from Murakami, is just beautiful. There's a lot of weird, like I say from Murakami, there's a lot of weird things. You have to accept the fact that a lot of these books are going to go in directions that you've never read in American literature. This is not an American author. This is an Asian author who's not really afraid to express more vivid and weird things that American authors do. He isn't afraid to go in directions that you wouldn't necessarily see, and that's what I love about his writing, especially in Norwegian Wood. And like I've said with all the other books, the setting of the book where he's like at like the university, the scenes that take place in the winter, they're just all so beautifully written. And the love story that unfolds in this book all the way up till the end will have you hooked all the way till you're probably bawling on the last page of the book. So I definitely recommend Norwegian Wood for anyone who's never read Murakami before. This is a great place to start. And at the number 1 spot, this is by far my favorite Haruki Murakami novel and my 4th favorite novel of all time. Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. Yes, that is the title of the book. This book, it's only about 400 pages, but unlike After Dark, the pages are a little bit longer. But I blew through this book in a week. Not even a week. This book had me hooked. Like, I was on this book trying to figure out what the main mystery was, and when the overarching mystery finally unfolds, you're just like, whoa. You're like, wait, that just happened. This story is told from the perspective of 2 different people. One person who's in, is it Tokyo? It might be Tokyo. Usually most of his stories take place in Tokyo, but it's about this one guy who's in Tokyo in a future, like, dystopian society, and then the other point of view is from this other guy who's in sort of like a fantasy type realm. Like, it's called the End of the World, the place that he's in. And it's sort of like a fantasy, like, not reality type thing. Like, shadows have, like, names, and, like, there's a lot of, like, beasts are outside that aren't really, like, animals. It's sort of like a fantasy type realm. And throughout the book, these 2 different perspectives start showing, like, connections to each other, and as you're figuring them out going through the book, you start thinking, like, wait, oh, like, you're just gonna put all the pieces together. And I had the most fun with any Murakami book I've ever read, connecting all of the pieces that he lays out. Because that's what Murakami does. He doesn't say, here's the mystery, here's the solution to it. He does that a lot in his books, like 1Q84, Killing Commendatore, Hard-Boiled Wonderland, and the End of the World. He does not give you the big overarching, oh, that's what it was supposed to mean, until either the last 15 pages of the book or not at all, and leaves it up for you to figure out. And that's what Murakami does in this book. He gives you all of the pieces, never tells you what's going on, and he wants you to figure it out before he ends up telling you at the end, this is what it all meant. And I figured it out before he told me what it all meant, so it was even more satisfying to realize that. And going through this book was just such a joy, and I would implore you guys to read this book after you've read a few of Murakami's work. Maybe, like, take Norwegian Wood and After Dark first, and then hop into something like this or 1Q84 if you're up for more of, like, an intense, what is going on type read. But this book just changed my love for reading, like Dreamcatcher did, The Terror from Dan Simmons. This book was just everything to me after I read it. And it gave me a new perspective on reading as a whole. So that is Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you're new. If you guys have read Murakami in the past, if you guys have a top 5 of your own, let me know what you guys think of Murakami's work in the comments below, and even your top 5 if you've read that far into his work. And I'll see you guys in the next one.